Are you like many of the Americans where the thought of getting a full tank of gas gives you anxiety just thinking about the number on that gas pump, or that eating food feels like you're eating pennies? Then you're probably familiar with the economic turmoil that's so present within this country, and you're also probably familiar for the push for the Fight for 15 minimum wage. According to the USA.gov, they state that the federal minimum wage is currently set at $7.25 per hour and has been so since 2009. Considering that 725 is about 2 gallons of gas, it really does help show the prevalence of the economic turmoil within this country. In an anecdotal sense, I make $14.20 an hour in New York State, a minimum wage job, and for me, I can almost barely pay any of my bills every single month. I struggle to pay all my bills, and hence the reason why I do think that the minimum wage should be raised to $15 an hour, because someone like me that makes $14.20, which is pretty much double the federal minimum wage, and I can barely survive on that. How can I expect anyone to survive that makes $7.25 survive and expect to live a fulfilling life with that type of income? Ultimately, the proof is in the pudding, and we see this in a testimony conducted by Emily Stewart, to which she wrote an article on Vox.org, and she interviewed a $7.25 per hour hourly worker named Dave Mayton, and he states that eating, paying for health insurance, all the normal bills people have, those don't go away just because you don't make a lot of money. Those things still do exist. He's ultimately saying that, hey, just because I make $7.25 an hour, that does not put away the fact that I still have to pay rent, I still got to put food in my mouth and in my kid's mouth, I still have utility bills to pay, and I still have random emergency expenses to pay. So that $7.25 per hour worker is the same as anybody else that has to meet basic needs of living. So yes, I do believe that the minimum wage should be raised to $15 an hour, because it ultimately leads to better work productivity, helps boost the economy, and it helps reduce poverty within this country. Looking at better work productivity, when you pay workers more, it increases their morale. They feel better about what they do, and they also feel like they're being fairly compensated. According to an article by Victor N. Corpez that discusses the advantages and disadvantages by a $15 hourly minimum wage, workers are less likely to leave. They're less likely to stay at jobs that they're getting paid fairly amount. While also it helps them reduce employers' training costs. The more people that they get to keep at a job, the less turnover a job has. Thus, they get to keep more money for the company to pay their workers more. It's all just through and through. And leading into my second position about why I think the minimum wage should be $15 an hour, it would help boost the economy. When you put more money into people's pockets, they have more options of what to do with their money. They can save up for a vacation, they can just save money, they can, get a nicer apartment or a nicer place. And according to the House.gov, they find that it could increase consumer demand and stimulate consumer spending. This is kind of the same ideology as the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. Former President Trump handed out stimulus packages to people to help boost the economy. He basically gave them money for them to spend to help boost the economy. So it's kind of falls under the same idea here. It would help boost the economy because people have more money to spend. Leading into my third reason, I believe that minimum wage should be increased is because it would help reduce poverty. According to the Economic Policy Institute.org, they find that a $15 per hour minimum wage increase would lift 45 million people out of poverty, which ultimately this would better our families, American families, their daily lives, what those families put on the table for dinner. People could buy a home, like the American dream that was the foundation of this country. Crime rate can be reduced. We all know that the more money that communities make, there's a reduction in crime rate, and it just generally improves neighborhoods and economies. And overall, I do believe that the minimum wage should be raised to $15 an hour because it leads to better work productivity, it helps boost the economy, and it leads to a reduction in poverty. And I think the quality of all American lives would be much better with a raise of the minimum wage to $15 per hour. Thank you.